7 states are under states of emergencies. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z leads us off tonight. Ginger, give us a sense of just how dangerous this storm is.
The part that makes this so dangerous, Lindsay, is the combination of the heavy snow plus wind. The wind gusting 50 to even 70 miles per hour. That's what makes visibility go to near zero and makes travel so nearly impossible. Also, just the historic part of it, the state of New Jersey, for example, has not been all in a blizzard.
A potentially historic winter storm is now unfolding across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, placing tens of millions of Americans under blizzard warnings. Officials are calling this a rare and dangerous combination of heavy snowfall and powerful wind gusts, creating near-zero visibility and treacherous travel conditions. Several states have declared emergencies as snow accumulations are projected to reach up to 2 feet in some areas. Major metropolitan corridors from Maryland to Maine are bracing for sustained impacts over a 24-hour period. Air travel has been severely disrupted, with thousands of flights canceled and airports operating at limited capacity. Cities are urging residents to stay indoors, avoid unnecessary travel, and prepare for possible power outages. Warming centers have opened, and outreach teams are working to protect vulnerable populations as temperatures plunge below freezing. Officials stress that the greatest threat is not just snowfall totals, but the sustained wind speeds that elevate this system to true blizzard status.
24 hours ahead. So the heart of it has started. It's actually changing over to snow because it's been a rainy day back in the Mid-Atlantic. But now that sun has set, the temperature has dipped to freezing or below, and we're going to keep with those heavy bands of snow. Some of them could have 1 to 3 inch per hour snowfall rates. Those winds will easily gust over 40, in many places 50 to 60 miles per hour. And by tomorrow morning, you see how Philadelphia is starting to wrap up. New York City still going strong through Connecticut up to Rhode Island and Boston. And then really it's tomorrow Boston gets it through the evening, and we're done with this storm by tomorrow night. But behind it, it will be 1 foot to 1.5 feet. Some places could see 1.5 feet to 2 feet.
Meteorologists emphasize that blizzard conditions are defined not simply by snowfall, but by sustained winds and severely reduced visibility. Gusts reaching 50 to 70 miles per hour are expected in coastal areas, intensifying the danger for drivers and emergency responders. Snowfall rates could exceed 1 to 3 inches per hour at peak intensity, rapidly overwhelming road crews and transportation networks. In major cities, school closures and travel bans are already in effect. Officials are coordinating snow removal, emergency medical access, and public safety messaging to prevent injuries and fatalities. Coastal communities face an additional hazard: flooding driven by strong onshore winds pushing ocean water inland. This layered threat, heavy snow, high winds, and storm surge, is placing extraordinary strain on infrastructure. Residents are being urged to secure supplies, charge devices, and remain indoors until conditions improve. Authorities caution that even experienced winter drivers may find themselves stranded within minutes under whiteout conditions.
Uncharted territory here, Ginger. Thank you. And ABC's Morgan Norwood is in Atlantic City with more on that coastal flooding threat. Hi, Morgan.
Hi, Lindsay. Yes, this storm is hitting Atlantic City from all sides. We're talking the heavy snow, the rough surf, and of course the strong winds. I mean, look at what it's done to this boardwalk here. Fresh layer of snow, and it continues to accumulate. I also want you to see these waves pounding the shore as the snow essentially replaces the sand on the beach. The city is under a snow emergency tonight with officials.
In Atlantic coastal communities, concern is growing over the potential for significant flooding during high tide. Emergency declarations have enabled rapid deployment of resources, but officials warn that simultaneous flooding and blinding snowfall could overwhelm response efforts. Residents are being instructed to relocate vehicles to higher ground and clear emergency routes to ensure access for first responders. This storm arrives after an already punishing winter season, with prolonged cold contributing to earlier fatalities. The cumulative impact has heightened vigilance among state and local leaders. As the storm's core tracks northward, millions remain under advisories and warnings. And as authorities respond to the storm's sweeping disruption, a separate and urgent security investigation is unfolding in Florida, one that has drawn national attention.
On Saturday, authorities say the weapon was likely purchased by Martin as he made his way to Florida from his North Carolina home. Here's our ABC Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the FBI and Secret Service urgently trying to determine what caused a young man to allegedly travel from North Carolina to President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida and confront law enforcement before being shot and killed. The Suspect identified by the FBI as 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin was shot.
Federal authorities are investigating a fatal shooting outside President Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence after a 21-year-old man allegedly breached the secure perimeter overnight. Law enforcement officials say the suspect was carrying both a shotgun and a gasoline can when he drove into the restricted area. Agents confronted the individual and ordered him to drop the items. According to authorities, when the suspect allegedly raised the firearm into a shooting position, officers opened fire. The man was pronounced dead at the scene. The FBI has identified him as Austin Tucker Martin of North Carolina. Investigators are now tracing his movements prior to the confrontation, including reports that the weapon may have been purchased during his travel south. Officials confirmed that the president was not at the Florida property at the time of the incident. However, the breach underscores ongoing concerns surrounding security at high-profile locations and the heightened threat environment nationwide.
Pieces of equipment that he had with him, at which time he put down the gas can, raised the shotgun to a shooting position.
At that point, authorities say an officer with the sheriff's department and 2 members of the Secret Service opened fire. Martin, who had been reported missing by his family on Saturday, was pronounced dead at the scene. Today, federal agents could be seen at a property associated with Martin in Cameron, North Carolina, which is about a 10-hour drive from Mar-a-Lago. A portrait of the alleged gunman emerging, a cousin telling our station WTVD that the family is generally made up of Trump supporters. But Martin's feelings about...
Investigators are now working to determine motive, reviewing digital evidence, travel records, and surveillance footage from the surrounding area. Federal agents have been seen at a property associated with the suspect in North Carolina as authorities piece together a timeline of events leading to the early morning confrontation. This incident comes amid an elevated security posture across the country. Law enforcement agencies have reported a rise in politically motivated threats and incidents targeting public officials and government facilities. The fatal shooting also occurs just days before major national events requiring extensive security coordination. Officials emphasize that perimeter security protocols functioned as designed, with rapid engagement once the suspect allegedly posed an immediate threat. Nonetheless, the event has intensified scrutiny of protective measures at presidential properties and other high-security sites. As investigators continue their review in Florida, attention overseas has turned to a dramatic and historic moment on the world stage, one that has reignited a legacy in American sports.
The U.S. men's hockey team winning the gold medal for the first time in nearly 50 years, defeating Canada in sudden death overtime. ABC's Marcus Moore is there.
46 years after the U.S. won gold and defeated the Soviet Union, a stunning upset known as the Miracle on Ice during the 1980 Olympics in New York.
You believe in miracles? Yes!
Tonight, the men's hockey team winning another dramatic gold medal game, this time against their bitter rivals, Canada. It was a drama from...
In a game described as one of the most dramatic finishes in recent Olympic memory, Team USA's men's hockey team captured gold in sudden death overtime, defeating Canada in a high-stakes rivalry matchup. The victory marks the first men's hockey gold medal for the United States in 46 years, echoing the legacy of the iconic 1980 triumph. The contest remained tightly contested throughout regulation, with both teams demonstrating disciplined defense and relentless offensive pressure. The decisive goal in overtime electrified fans and sealed a historic milestone for American hockey. Goaltending played a critical role, with multiple key saves preserving the opportunity for a late breakthrough. Beyond the scoreboard, the team carried emotional significance into the game, honoring a fallen teammate whose memory remained central throughout the tournament.
Start to finish, for much of the game, both teams locked in a tie 1-1. Canada on the attack, but goalie Connor Hellebuck keeping Team USA's hopes alive, blocking 41 shots. Team USA's bruised and bloodied forward Jack Hughes losing part of 2 teeth, but Hughes battling through to score the game-winning goal in overtime. The iconic moment now frozen in time. Amid the celebrations, a moving tribute on the ice. Team USA carrying a number 13 jersey, honoring teammate Johnny Gaudreau, who was killed along with his brother by an alleged drunk driver in 2024. His jersey in the locker room for every game. The team keeping him close in their hearts, even sharing their moment of...
The championship represents not only athletic excellence, but also resilience and unity within the team. Players describe the journey as one defined by perseverance, physical sacrifice, and collective belief. The overtime finish delivered a defining moment that will be revisited for generations of fans and athletes alike. The win also contributes to a broader achievement for the United States delegation at these Winter Games, with both men's and women's hockey teams reaching the top of the podium. Celebrations unfolded before a global audience as athletes reflected on the magnitude of ending a decades-long gold medal drought. As international headlines continue to spotlight the triumph on the ice, another major development has emerged south of the border, one involving cartel violence, military operations, and regional security concerns.
Mexican officials say criminal groups burn cars and trucks to block roads across the country. The State Department is warning Americans to shelter in place. ABC's Melissa Dunn is near the border tonight.
Explosions erupting across Puerto Vallarta tonight. Black smoke seen rising over the resort city on Mexico's Pacific coast. Mexico's military forces launching a daring operation to capture cartel leader Ruben N., known as El Mencho.
Mexican authorities confirmed that a top drug cartel leader was killed during a military operation in Puerto Vallarta, triggering violent clashes and widespread disruption. Officials report that during the raid, armed groups set vehicles ablaze and blocked major roadways in apparent retaliation. Explosions and plumes of smoke were visible across the resort city as security forces moved to contain the unrest. The operation reportedly followed intelligence sharing between Mexican authorities and U.S. officials. The targeted figure was identified as the head of a powerful criminal organization with long-standing ties to international trafficking networks. His death marks a significant development in Mexico's ongoing campaign against cartel leadership. The violence forced the temporary suspension of flights at the local airport, stranding travelers and raising concerns for foreign nationals in the region.
Several cartel members were killed, including El Mencho, the head of the new generation Jalisco cartel, who died while airlifted to a hospital in Mexico City. Mexican authorities say the United States provided complimentary information for their operation. A U.S. defense official telling ABC News NORTHCOM provided information for the raid. The violence forcing the Puerto Vallarta airport to suspend all flights, this stranding many U.S. citizens trying to get home.
As security forces worked to stabilize the situation, border cities reported additional criminal activity, heightening regional alert levels. The U.S. State Department advised Americans in affected areas to shelter in place and monitor official guidance. The swift escalation illustrates the volatility that can accompany high-profile cartel operations. Authorities continue to assess the broader implications, including potential retaliatory actions and the impact on civilian safety. International cooperation remains central to efforts aimed at dismantling transnational criminal networks. The developments underscore the complexity of security challenges facing both nations, particularly in regions where cartel influence intersects with tourism and cross-border commerce. Officials say they remain vigilant as investigations continue and stability efforts move forward. Tonight's developments span severe weather, national security, international operations, and historic achievement. A powerful blizzard threatens millions across the Northeast, testing emergency preparedness and public safety systems. In Florida, a fatal security breach investigation raises new questions about protective measures at high-profile locations. On the Olympic stage, Team USA's overtime victory marks a milestone moment nearly 5 decades in the making. And in Mexico, a major cartel leader's death has triggered violence with cross-border implications. Which of these stories do you believe will have the most lasting impact in the days ahead? For continued in-depth coverage, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And join us for next video as we examine the remaining major headlines shaping this critical news cycle.